Yesterday there was the YCS Indianapolis and once again showed that we have a problem here in the TCG. I will go over some of the matches that were... I always watch these YCSs, I don't know if you did, and I always like to watch them, but this was the most boring YCS I ever watched, and you can kind of see why this is the case. You have the Snake Eye deck here, you can see first place until closely until the top 16 was Snake Eyes. Purely Snake Eyes, there was one Labyrinth deck, but I think it made it to the top 4, no, top 8. But the rest was Snake Eyes. You can see Snake Eyes, Snake Eyes, Snake Eyes. There's Temper Dragon here, Melodious, one Despia deck, still a Mangrade actually, but it's also with the Temper engine. Fire King, which is also Snake Eye, and then you can see Snake Eye, Snake Eye, Snake Eye, Snake Eye, Runic, Snake Eye, Snake Eye, one Voiceless, and one Melodious, one Kashtira. So this is a tier 0 format if there ever was one. Tier 0, I think, is defined by having 60% of the meta or of a tournament with one deck, and this pie chart shows it. We have roundabout 60, maybe 70% here. And yeah, this is not even a big problem in and of itself, I would say, because the tier 11 meta, I think, was quite nice because the deck was quite high skill. So it was a high skill matchup, which is nice because then you can improve. Then the games are interesting to watch and they are complicated, which I personally think, you can let me know in the comments what you think, is very, very interesting. Unfortunately, we have seen something else here yesterday and the day before in the YCS Indianapolis. And I want to quickly show you the match that Pack played against Stephen O, and then another match from the top cut here. I think it was top, top 16. Shunping versus Sebastian T, which was Snake Eye versus Snake Eye, which nearly was the entire field, Snake Eye versus Snake Eye. But you can nearly watch every match where there was a Snake Eye versus Snake Eye match, and you can see how enormously boring the matches are at the current point. And this is even more extreme in the TCG than it is in the Master Duel format. In Master Duel, it is a bit better, but we are still in this very dominant Snake Eyes meta. Even in Master Duel, we can quickly go check. You can see that over here on Untapped GG. If we go to Master Duel, and we can see the statistics here in a moment, seeing how many people play a specific deck. We go to tier list here, which is tier list in Germany. You can see Snake Eyes 16.3%, which is definitely not 60% tier 0-ish kind of territory, but by far the most dominant deck and by far the most played deck, obviously also the strongest one. So what did we have here? We had a Branded versus Despia Branded, which both of them are branded, and Branded is another deck that has one interaction that is... So let me define the problem first, right? The problem is that we are in a meta where everyone is playing either a lot of hand traps, like 15 or 18, and you always have this hand trap throwing stuff. So you play Snake Eyes and then you just hand trap your opponent and then you win the game, or you play Snake Eyes and you brick on your hand traps and then you hand trap your opponent, but you never draw any engine. This is also something you can see in this tournament. And then it's a very boring hand trap throwing meta where you don't really need any skill, but you need to randomly draw the starter that your opponent then does not have any hand traps for anymore. Despia Branded or Brand Despia is a bit different here because Despia Brand Despia here in the TCG, a build that nearly everyone is playing at the current moment, does not even play any hand traps. They are only playing board breakers and they are strong going second. But what we can see here, so Puck is going, we have 0-0, Puck is going first, right? And I just quickly want to show this. I will put this on 2 times the speed because what I want to show you here is one specific thing. So it goes Albion, dumps the Fallen of Albas to have a Fallen of Albas in the grave for further plays, draws a card. Then he summons his Quem, activates his Quem. And obviously what you want to do here with Brand Despia always basically is summon your Gimmick Puppet to Gimmick Puppet block your opponent. And it's the job of the opponent, Stephen O in this case, to stop this. Unfortunately, he does not have any hand traps in his deck, same as Park. So yeah, you can't really do anything. He just has to watch. He goes Branded Fusion here, the basic classic line going into an Albion, which then activates its effect to go into. We can also banish the Mercuria here, get an additional search. That's nice. We can go Lubelion, and then we can go to the Mercuria here to chain block the Lubelion. It isn't even necessary because there are no hand traps in here, and I also think Pack knows this. Here is the Cartesia that can now be summoned because we have an Albas in the graveyard. We go the Fusion Summon here into the Mirror Jade, obviously. Then we can go for the Cartesia, and we have basically 50% of the stuff we want to do already achieved, right? Because you want to get your Mirror Jade on the field, and you need your Albion in the graveyard to set your Branded in red to make your Albion the Sanctifier on your opponent's turn. So now we have to get the Gimmick Puppet into the grave. We will achieve this by using the Cartesia, going into the Granganule. Granganule dumps the Gimmick Puppet into the grave now in a second. And if you're not aware, Gimmick Puppet says that your opponent cannot special summon for the turn, which basically ends the turn and then ends the game, you could say. And we will see in a moment the sending off. There is the Gimmick Puppet here. We can also do this Master Duel, by the way, if you want to, but it's way stronger here in TCG, in my opinion. We are going to pass over, and the thing is that you can't even do anything against this. This is the most crazy part, but you can do something against this. You would need a Bestial. You would need to activate the Bestial here in the end phase to get rid of the Gimmick Puppet. Then Puck could negate it with the Mercurio that's in his hand, if you weren't aware there was a second Mercurio. And then you could go into the draw phase and once again try to remove the Gimmick Puppet, because obviously the Mercurio does not destroy the Bestial in the hand, but only negates it, right? This is what you could do. Even a Forbidden Droplet, for example, which he I think has in his hand, will not solve this problem, because if Puck goes branded in red to fusion summon, the branded loss basically says you cannot react after a fusion summon has happened, because Puck can go into an Albion and then he can go activate the branded loss, activate the Albion to resummon the Gimmick Puppet, and you can't even stop that with the Forbidden Droplet, because you are not allowed to activate because of branded loss. So obviously this is weaker when you don't get to the branded loss, but against a deck who does not play any hand traps, the branded loss will obviously be placed on the field. So he draws, and in the draw phase we will see the magic. And it's so funny because throughout this duel, and you can watch this over on the channel if you want to, throughout this duel they are saying like, oh yeah, it's Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a fun game. They are obviously aware of the fact that it's super boring what happens here. They are smiling, they're like, okay, this is just the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, ha ha ha. And it was so funny because the commentators were like, oh, they're having so much fun, this is so cool, not being aware somehow, or didn't want to mention, because this is an official Konami stream, that what we are seeing here is extremely boring, and they are also really annoyed of what's happening here. So we are banishing here the Albas and the Granginol. You need the Spellcaster for the Albion the Sanctifier, going for Albion the Sanctifier here, and then Albion the Sanctifier effect, there goes the puppet, and there is follow-up with Albion here, and the guy looks at his hand and he's like, oh cool. I don't even know whether he plays anything. I think he just scoops it up here, because what can you do? You will obviously lose next turn. You can draw it out a little bit longer if you want to. He looks at his hand, also has a Chiron here, and I think he scoops up in a moment here. Thinking about, obviously you think about it, right? Because it's a very important round here, and he scoops it up. He also asked the judge whether he were allowed to scoop it up, and the judge was, yeah, of course, because you need to, obviously, because there's time that you have to take care of, right? So we are in the second game now, and now Stephen O is starting, right? So let's see what Stephen O can do here. Let's see what he does, right? So once again, Pakabat does not have, he has Brand Loss in the hand, does not have a hand trap in his hand, so he goes Otherworld. This obviously goes into Branded Fusion, and if I remember this correctly, he goes for a very strange line, a line that can definitely be interrupted a bit better than the line Pakabat went for, because Puck's only interruption, or the interruption that would have worked against him, was a Bestial. He does it a bit different here, doesn't go for the Mirror Jade, but does go for the Albion, the Sanctifier Dragon directly. I'm not quite sure why not the biggest branded knowledge guy here. He does not go for the basic line, maybe because he does not have, I guess it's because he didn't have access to his Cartesia otherwise. I think that makes sense, because if you don't have access to Cartesia, then obviously you can't dump the Gimmick Puppet into the grave, which is bad, but there is the Cartesia, so I'm not sure. Okay, I think we did it like this because we needed the Fallen of Albas in the grave to special summon the Cartesia, because we needed to normal summon the Alibor to get the Branded Fusion, and if we would have gone from the Albion, we would have need to banish our Fallen of Albas, basically not giving us the opportunity to special summon Cartesia, not giving us the Granginol. This is why this happened. So we go Granginol here, and we dump the Gimmick Puppet, of course. He reads the Gimmick Puppet for some reason, I'm not quite sure why. And obviously the setup is a bit worse, because now the Branded Lost, actually this is not protected by Forbidden Droplet, right? Because in the field that we saw from Puck, the fusion, this effect was protected, the resummoning effect was protected by the Branded Lost, because we fusion summoned the Albion, right? In this case, Albion is already on the field, so we will not fusion summon, though I'm not quite sure. No, we don't have an Albion, the red Albion on the grave. So this is a bit more susceptible to stuff like a Forbidden Droplet here, and now the question is, does Pack has the answer? Does he have a Forbidden Droplet? Because if not, the game is just over once again. And it's so, it was just so boring to watch this YCS. It's so sad, because I like it so much watching the YCS. I think he gets Brand opening back and then goes for Quem, I think. So he draws out his turn quite a lot here, doing like he has a 60 card turbo version, and I think Puck is not playing a 60 card version. I'm not quite sure. He draws out the turn a lot, but yeah, you as a viewer just have to sit here and watch this. I have it on 2x speed, by the way, and yeah, we will just see. He goes through. Yeah, let's see. Goes for this one again to get more advantage. Obviously makes sense. You just want to do this. Yeah. Then we are going to shuffle the deck, shuffle once more, and then we are going to draw more cards. Because yeah, why not? I'm going to do discard the tragedy, because why not add any more stuff? There we go for an ad libitum here, and finally this turn is over. Let's see how Pack can break this board, right? Let's see how interesting this will be. Very interesting game. We have seen Stephen O play for I don't know how many minutes now, like 5 or 10 minutes. Just playing the game, he passes over, the Puck draws, looks at the card, and I think just scoops here. If I remember this correctly, there goes the gimmick puppet, and there goes an Aluba for follow-up, and Puck does not have the answer, so the game is once again over. So very, very interesting gameplay here. They're very cool. Yeah, and I do understand why he starts with a Law of Darkness, actually, but yeah, we'll pass it up in a moment here. Am I allowed to scoop, he asks, and of course he is. And so we have 1-1, and now Puck starts again. No hand traps in the deck of our opponent here, and we can once again, I will go in a bit in. I will go in the front basically. And at the moment, I have really difficulty with the English words, I guess. Yeah, once again the same line basically. Though Puck needed to go for a different line here. This was a bit strange because Puck for some reason did not decide to summon the gimmick puppet in the draw phase. I think he could have done this actually, but he played it a bit longer. Let's just skip until Stephen O's turn. So he starts with branded opening, dumping, I think, the gimmick puppet here. We are in draw phase now. This one summons. Now he can activate the effect. For some reason, Puck does not use the locking effect right now. He will use it afterwards, and then, yeah, let's see what happens here. Aluba will add the, I think, branded fusion in this case to the hand. It doesn't really matter what he picks here, honestly, because he already lost the game because the puppet is already there. Yeah, we go for branded lost, and I think now Puck goes for the lock, if I remember this correctly. Not 100% sure. He goes to the Mirror Jade. Yeah, banishes his own Mirror Jade, I think. Not quite sure what we were doing here, honestly. If you know what was happening here in the comments, you can let me know. This just makes the game even longer unnecessarily. A game that's already over and really boring match, unfortunately. Yeah, so just go ahead and do your thing, I guess. We are going for the Quem. Yeah, once again, thinking about what we are going to do here. And yeah. This one goes because of the effect of the Mirror Jet, I think. Forbidden Droplet, but it does not change anything. He just wanted to force the Forbidden Droplet, I guess. Looks for the Grave once again. Goes for Fusion Duplication, which, yeah, this ends it now. But there was also the brand in red, I think, so it didn't really make a difference here. So it's Fusion Duplication, and it was really fun because Puck summoned a Gimmick Puppet to both fields here, and the crowd was really laughing. It was a fun moment because everyone was like, ha ha ha. It's just super, super stupid. And yeah, it was really yeah, a very uninteresting match here. And Puck wins it in the end because he has won the coin toss, I guess you could say. And we can take a look at another one of these instances, but this time around with Snake Eyes, right? Let's go for because it's the same thing, right? But Despia is only an example of what is happening right now. I will put this down here. We will go and roll, and we will roll once again, make this game even longer than it needs to be. And yeah, Shunping, I think, is starting here. And let's see, it's a basic Snake Eyes magic here. We are going to go look at the hand for a long time, and yeah, let's go wanted. Sebastian says, okay, go for the wanted here, and we are going to the Abelstar, and then for some reason there was a card was face up in his deck. I don't know. We are pitching the very good start here, this one into this one. He negates this. Unfortunately, he already has the OSS in the hand, which is obviously the worst if you negate the Abelstar and the OSS is already there. And you can see it in Sebastian's face. He's like, oh, and now there comes the Snake Eye Ash. This seems to be the one interruption that he had here. We go Snake Eyes Poplar, and yeah, we will now see. I will yeah, put this in the front, and we can then see basically Shunping building his board here. Yeah, it's a classic Snake Eye board, nothing too fancy here. And yeah, now it's the turn of Sebastian, right? So this is the board that we ended up on. We have a Mauritian Princess in the grave. We have the Pit Knight early thingy here. And then we have this one summoning the IP and an Appaloosa, I think, for 2. Let's see what Sebastian can do here. So, oh, he talks to the judge, la la la, and he scoops up. Okay, so this was, so it's either this, right? It was either this that the Snake Eyes opponent just built a board and the other one couldn't break it and scoops at the beginning, or it was like, I'm throwing hand traps at you and you're throwing hand traps at me, which is super, super boring. Now Sebastian can go first, and we will see what sometimes just happens with the Snake Eyes deck, because, and this is also what makes games so unbelievably boring to watch and play. It's unbelievable. So we have a lot of hand traps in the deck. I like to remind you of the fact. So we are drawing the hand. Sebastian draws the hand, and he's like, oh, we don't see the hand at the moment, but spoiler alert, it's a bad hand, and you can't even play with this hand. So yeah. Obviously, if you can't play with the hand, there's an Oak, for example. We just set one and pass, and Schrumping is like, yeah, go, that's nice. I like it. Geil, if, like we say in Germany here. Goes for Lightning Storm, gets rid of the called by. I think that Sebastian stops Schrumping here in a moment, and then it passes back over to him once, and once again back, I think, before Schrumping in the end just wins it, but we can quickly check this out. As of right now, there was no interruption here. I think there's a Nibiru or something. Oh, there isn't even. But I think there was a Nibiru in his hand, but he just kept it under 4 summons and just won the game. And yeah, this was like the top 16 match, right? Which this happened in all the Snake Eye mirrors, and also the finals was a really, it was such a boring final, unbelievable. You can go watch this YCS if you want, but I would suggest you don't, because it's really uninteresting. I hope something changes here, especially in the TCG meta quite soon. We will, at least in the Master Duel meta, get the Fire King stuff that will kind of replace the Snake Eye as the most dominant deck, I think. So we have at least a bit of a different thing that we were going to see, but still the Fire King and the Fake Eye King. The Fire King deck also plays a lot of hand traps, so it's basically the same. There's a bit more engine in the Fire King deck, so a bit less hand trap shenanigans. But yeah, you can let me know in the comments what you think of this, if you are a TCG player, if you are a Master Duel player. What is your opinion on this, on the current meta? I had never less fun. Oh, I don't know what's with my English, guys. I never had that low of a fun point in playing Yu-Gi-Oh! As there is at the moment. And then if your opponent doesn't play Snake Eye, then they're going Tenpai Dragon, and Tenpai Dragon is another matchup that you can't watch. And playing Tenpai Dragon, I mean, I like the artwork of the cards, I really do, but this gameplay of Tenpai Dragon is so boring. So all of the decks at the moment are super boring. Besides maybe some exceptions. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this problem. What do you think Tsunami could do to solve this? I think really another ban list that hits Snake Eye a bit more formidable now. Not this, oh, I ban the Baron and the Warlord Savage Dragon, but a really hard hit, so that we can finally see Snake Eyes going down a bit. The problem, obviously, and I've talked about this in another video, is that even if we see some Snake Eye hits, we will then have the new basically stuff here. We will firstly get Tenpai Dragon, which isn't even better. So more people will play Tenpai Dragon, especially with the new support. This is not even better. And then Snake Eyes will also get the Fiendsmith stuff. So even if Snake Eyes gets hits like here in the OCG Ash 2/2 and Wanted to 1, which are definitely hits, then they can just replace this with the Fiendsmith engine and once again be going, basically. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how long this will stay like this, but it's a bit boring if you ask me. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for being here. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.